Today on In the Woodyard, we're talking about the new Husqvarna battery chainsaw, the 550i. She's a screamer. So I was lucky enough to get early access to the 550i of Husqvarna chainsaw here. It's a cutting machine. I have not been a real huge fan of battery chainsaws up to now. This thing really cuts. And they named it a 550, I believe, I could be wrong, that it is supposed to be as good as a 50cc saw. And I would have to say, it is. I haven't done any direct head-to-head comparisons yet. I'm going to tomorrow. I'm going to run this against my 540 Mark II that I have. Nice little chainsaw, I like it, but we're going to try this against it and see if this should, according to everything they say, should cut faster, should cut better. So I have run this saw now twice, and I really like it. I ran it when I was at Modern Rentals in Ripon, Wisconsin, the day we did the testing with the new 564 chainsaw. You can watch that video. That's there. Actually, we did a couple videos with that, 3 to be exact. And I ran this saw a little bit, and I was very impressed. And the few guys that were there that tried this out too, they said the same thing. They're like, wow, for a battery chainsaw, this thing really cuts. Now, this is equipped with a 20-inch bar. It does have the 325 chain, which is the standard for it. And it is a very nice saw. This is a pro-level saw. This is not a homeowner saw. This is the serious one. If you've seen some of the battery saws, this has a few little changes to some of the systems on here. I learned a lot by running it and trying it out and asking a lot of questions about it. And I'd have to say that I was surprised. I was very surprised because I've run some of the battery saws. Now I've run is it the 540i or 542? I believe it is. There's a couple of them. I've ran those and they're nice. Top handle saws, more for arborists, lighter little bitty saws. They work pretty dang good. I liked them a lot. But this is in a whole nother league as far as power, and I really like it. Big difference is that this now has the big battery. So this is not the big battery that's in here. So I'm going to take this out and show you. This is the small battery, and this is called the B330X. And it's got a charge indicator on it. It's fully charged. I just charged it up. I'm going to show you the other one. This is the big boy battery. This is the B540X. Bigger. There you go. There's the difference in size. So when we ran it the other day, Adam and I cut a couple trees down, and we found that the big battery, we were at about maybe 5 degrees temperature for the air temperature, and we had a wind chill that was below 0. So it was cold, which was a very good test with the battery because, as you know, batteries are allergic to cold. And this big battery we got about a half an hour out of, and it was dead. The little battery, we got about 20 minutes. So there's about 10 minutes difference between the batteries. But what we did was we ran the big battery out completely, put it on the charger, switched over to the smaller battery, and then cut for another 20 minutes. Came in, my saw was dull. I quick sharpened it because we had hit a rock or something. I sharpened it, which took maybe 5 minutes. And this battery was dead, and the big battery was on the charger, and it literally took about 40 minutes. From the time we put it on, we went out, cut a little bit. We cut for 20 minutes with this one, came in, I sharpened the chain, and I think it was maybe 5 or 10 minutes later, about 40 minutes, and the big one was charged. And here's the charger. So this is the big boy charger. This is the C750X fast charger. So it's got a fan on it. This is the cord, so you can unplug it in the back and then plug it in so it's not permanently connected, which I like. This is the way it should be. And it's very easy on and off for the batteries. All you do is you just go right here, it's in, that's it. And it's charging if it's plugged in. And it has an indicator and it shows you that it's charging. So charge is very fast. So I would think for an average person that's cutting, you could probably get away with 2 batteries and you could probably cut all day because you're not going to be able to just cut steady. You're going to have cutting, and if you drain the bigger battery, this bigger one here, if you drain that, I would think while it's charging, if you had just that battery, while it's charging, you would sharpen, move some rounds, load some brush, pull some branches, 40 minutes, and you're back in action. But if you've got the 2 batteries, the big one and the small one, you could slap the little one on and go right back to work. Put this one on, go to work for 20 minutes, maybe do a little bit of work, sharpen your chain, go back to work, switch your batteries. I think you could rotate 2 batteries and work pretty much all day. And we were cutting pretty much steady with it. There was really no breaks. We cut steady for the half hour with this one and 20 minutes with this one. If you want to check that video out, you can go check it out. It was a cold day, and today I wanted to do some cutting, but it's pouring out right now. So tomorrow is going to be the day that I run these again, because I only have this saw for a couple more days. And the reason I'm only going to have it for a couple of days is this is actually a rep saw. There's only 30 of these in the United States right now, as of, we're end of December right now. Just the reps have it, and they go around to all their dealers, and they get to try it out and see it and ask questions, and they go over all the information so that you can then ask questions to the dealers and find out. So I was given this just for, I was supposed to only have it for a couple days, but I got it for a whole week. So tomorrow's gonna be the day we go out and run it again. So I'm gonna show you something here. I'll move this out of the way. The saw itself weighs about, I wanna say it's 11 pounds. So it's not too bad. It's actually, maybe it's 10 pounds. It's either 10 or 11. You'd have to look it up in the specs. I'll look it up. Here's the manual, look at that. I'm gonna look it up in the manual, see what she weighs. Technical data. Page 40. Now, I'm not going to give you all the information with all the specifications because I'm not that guy. I just want to know how the thing works. I'm the guy that just takes it and tries it and say, thumbs up, thumbs down. That's me, but I'm going to go over some of these things here. Recommended bars. I believe you can use anywhere from 14 to 20 inches. And there's a 20-inch bar in here right now. I take that back. So you can use any bar from 13 to 20 inches. I didn't even know there was a 13-inch bar. Apparently there's 13 to 20 inches. This is a 20, which was very nice. The oil capacity on it, because you do use bar oil on it, it says US 0.38 pint. So 40% of a pint, whatever that is. I don't know how many ounces that would be. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me. All I know is that it takes bar oil. And we found out that there's a very easy adjustment. There's a nut on the bottom, little screw head. You can adjust the bar oil. And in general, one battery, we found that the one battery, we did not run out of bar oil. It was still bar oil, so we didn't worry about it. But we did fill it up, and it worked fine. So there's that. There is a low battery indicator on it, so you don't have to worry about that. But we never had a problem with the battery. Like I said, it does take 325 chain. The batteries, I did weigh them, and I'm just looking up here. The small battery, this little boy over here, I'm gonna flip this over. The little battery where it weighs 4.3, I came up with 4.4 on my scale. And the big battery is, survey says 6.4, and that's what I came up with, 6.4. So it's that would be actually 6 pounds, 4 ounces. And the little one is 3 pounds, 3 ounces. That's what I came up with. So about 2 pounds heavier on the battery. So if the saw weighs, which it does, I think it's 11 pounds, and the battery weighs 6 pounds, you're at 17 pounds, which is substantial with the big battery. But if you go with the little battery, you'd be at 15 pounds. But again, this is comparable to a 50cc saw. This is not comparable to a little bitty saw, you know, a 30cc or a 40cc saw, I don't think. And it's not comparable to a 70cc saw. Now, there's a lot of 70cc saws that are in that 16, 17 pound range. So that's about where this falls. But again, this is going to be the kind of saw that arborists are going to want to use. People that don't want the noise, but they want a pro-level saw. They don't want to have to worry about gas going bad. They don't have to worry about mixing gas or storing it without gas. There's that. And if you're a Husqvarna guy, you got the batteries, and this is the big Mamba Jamba battery. This is the big one. It has a lot of power. Now, we did notice that with the big battery, it was more powerful. And I think when I was talking to the rep, they told me it was like 20 to 25% more power with the bigger battery. And again, some of you guys are going to know why that is. It's because of how much output, voltage, mega, whatever it does. I'm not that guy. All I know is the bigger battery is more power and it lasts longer. That's all I want to know. So it was pretty cool. I did like that. So the one thing that I have to say as far as a drawback, when you have the big battery in here and the weight of the saw combined with your bar oil, you're at 17 pounds. So if you're the kind of person that is going to be doing a lot of limbing, this is probably not the battery you want. You're probably going to want the littler batteries. We found for limbing, the little battery was nicer. Less weight to lift, over and over and over. But if you're cross cutting, if you're cutting rounds, you're going to want the big battery because you get more power. And we cut some stuff that was 10 to 12 inches, the bigger stuff we cut. And it was dry ash, dead ash. So it cut really good. Chain was real nice and aggressive, cut great. One of the things we noticed when we were cutting is when you're in the cut, a lot of the battery saws and some of the older technology saws, the only way you can get the saw to restart cutting is you have to let up on the trigger and then go back to the trigger and you can start cutting. This one, it has what they call an electronic clutch, I believe is what I was told. All you do is you keep your trigger compressed, depressed, squeezed, and you lift your saw slightly out of the cut so that the teeth can clear, so that it's not being bound or stopped by material, and it starts right up again. So literally, if you bog it down where you really push on it, all you got to do is give it a little lift, you go right back to cutting. So that takes a little getting used to, but it's not much different really than a gas saw. Same thing with a gas saw. You got to let up a little bit and let it clear itself out and then go back to work. So there's that. The brake works, we found that out. Little informational stuff, I'll show you this right here. We'll put the battery, and again, the battery is easy to put in. You go right here, and you try and get it lined up right. There it's in, that's it. It's that fast. So a lot faster than putting gas in, I gotta say that. That is fast. So there's a little informational thing here. You just push down on the eye to turn it on. Now it's in. I forgot to get it clicked. So you push this, and your informational screen will come up, and it shows that it's fully charged. And there's a menu of things you can go through here, but it just shows you that you've got your battery working. We found when we got down to a quarter, it goes right down to 0. I mean, you see the quarter and you go, oh, I'm going to run out soon. You can still keep cutting. And we think that it goes, you lose your power faster towards the end. That's what I found out anyway. Might have been because it was so cold out, but in the beginning, the power stayed to see the indicator seemed to stay up quite a long time. It wasn't going down, but then when it got down towards the end, it did go a little faster. So this combination right here is actually what I liked better. I like the smaller battery as far as handling because it's lighter. But if you were going to do a lot of cutting, you want to cut rounds, bigger battery. So really, you'd want both. You'd want both batteries. And I'm not going to give you the numbers here as far as what they cost or the amount of power that are in these things. That you can look up. But I do know just from using it, the charger, very fast. I was concerned about that. I was thinking that maybe that charger is going to take hours. It was literally minutes for the big battery. It took about 40 minutes. And when we recharged the little battery, because we drained that also, the little battery, that recharged in about 20 minutes. So it was a lot faster. I mean, 25 maybe it was. It was pretty darn quick, so I was very impressed. So there you go. Here's another thing that I found out, is that this screen right here is actually the intake for the cooling of the battery and the cooling of the motor. There's no air filter. This is the filter. So when you're cutting, if we're cutting some dry material, this did build up. You got to brush it off once in a while, which is no big deal. But you can see it, so it's real easy to know that, oh, brush it off. But it didn't affect it really because it was so cold out. I would imagine on a hot day it might, but it did work really good. On the bottom here, if I can find it, right here is where you adjust the oil. We didn't adjust it. It ran just fine. Had no problems with enough oil or not enough oil. It was fine the way it was. One of the things I don't like, and this is true of pretty much all the smaller saws, I don't like wimpy dogs. I would like bigger, more aggressive dogs on it, and I want dogs on both sides all the time. Because if you're cutting a piece and you want to reef on it a little bit and get a little bit of torque going where you're digging in with the dogs and you want to give it a little bit, and there's nothing here because you're on the end. Say you got a little branch you're going to cut off and there's really nothing to bite onto. It'd be nice to have a dog on the other side too. So that's one of the complaints I have with a lot of the small saws is there's no dogs on the far side. And I don't know if this would take an additional dog or not. I mean, it's possible. One of the things I really like about this, that is a huge positive, that a lot of the small saws don't have, it's got 2 bar nuts. 2 of them. 2. A lot of the little ones have 1 little one there. So if you get slightly loose, it's loose. I like the fact that You can use two and you can get them both snug and everything. The adjustment, just like any other saw, you use your scrunch and it's got a little screw there for tightening it up. So basically, it's pretty simple, really. And it worked really well. I got to say, I was very impressed. I did not think I was going to like it as much as I did. The cutting went really well. Limbing-wise, it was really nice. I actually am going to do a comparison between this saw and my little 540 that I have. I have a 540 gas saw. It's quite a bit lighter, so it's going to be substantially lighter, but not as much power because it's a 40cc. But I want to compare it side by side and just check out and see how the cutting goes with this compared to that. Now, obviously, a lot of people that are interested in these are doing it because of sound. They don't want loud chainsaws or leaf blowers or equipment running in neighborhoods that maybe it's, especially if you're doing landscaping work and you want to keep the noise to a minimum in nicer neighborhoods or just neighborhoods in general where you don't want to be making a lot of noise. These are going to be nice. And I can see where you would want them. The one thing I did find out is that we ran it without earplugs. We ran it with earplugs just to kind of tell you want earplugs. I wear plugs and muffs all the time, but I tried it just to see how loud it was and just know you want them on. But I think you can get away with just plugs with this, but I prefer plugs and muffs all the time because I am older and I've got some hearing loss in my left ear especially, and I want to keep what I've got. So that high-pitched whining sound of the motor is still pretty loud. But what's really, really nice is that if you want to talk to someone, you let up on the trigger, shuts right off, and you can talk. And you don't have to yell and scream. And you can hear each other really well when you're working. So that is cool. And I can see if you're a grounds crew or a crew that's doing arborist work, or if you're just doing pruning of trees or landscaping type work, this will be very nice for those type of people. And I anticipate that's where their market probably is going to be, because these saws are not amateur homeowner type saws. These are professional grade saws, and they're made better. They're made to last longer. They're made stronger, heavier duty, and I believe you get what you pay for when it comes to the chainsaws. So one of the things that I've had a little bit of hard time getting used to is the trigger mechanism. And I guess this is a European thing that maybe it's the United States too, they have to have a double trigger system. So you can't just pull on the trigger. It doesn't go. You can't just pull on it. You actually have to compress this, but it doesn't just go straight down. You actually have to slide it forward and down. So it takes a little getting used to have your, especially if you got a big glove on, is to have your hand push this forward and down, and then you can hit the trigger. So it's a double action, basically. And I'm not a fan of that. I could see where there could easily be someone that would take this and tape this down. I could see people doing that, and then just having where you can just hit your trigger and go. People will do the bypass, but I know manufacturers have to do it because of laws they have. But I could see where someone would do that. But I guess I would say I'm not going to be that guy to do that, and I wouldn't recommend it, because it's real easy, because it's not running, to forget that it's on. And if you had this taped down, you could easily go to grab it and pick it up, and it would instantly go on because you might hit the trigger when you grab it, and it would take off on you. And because it's not running, you don't really realize that it's really running because the battery is on and it's turned on and it's ready to go. So I get the double action, but it does take some getting used to. Another thing that I want to mention, and I had thought that this would be a good thing, and I didn't know that this was going to be available. I did not know this was something that is a one of. Look at here on the manual. If you see right where my finger's pointing here, you see the letter G? For those of you that know what that means, you're going to go, yippee. And for those of you that don't know, you're going to go, cool. This is going to be the first battery saw, from what I've told, anywhere, that is going to have a heated handlebars. And that's what the G stands for. I don't know if that stands for G for grip, but the G in any Husqvarna saw, if it's a 562, 592, 572, if it comes in the G is heated handlebars. Now, some of you are going to say, why in the world would you want heated handlebars? Well, I'm in Wisconsin. A lot of my wood cutting takes place in December, January, February, March, November, even September. October, we can get temperatures below freezing. Not just freezing, but below zero. And when you're out working all day long, having your heated grips top and bottom is a game changer. You can go with lighter gloves and your hands stay warm, and with lighter gloves, you have better grip. By having the lighter gloves, you're able to pick up things, grab things, reach for things much easier than having a great big mitten on or a chopper or gloves that are extra heavy duty or 2 pair of gloves a lot of guys wear. By having the heated handlebars, you can work safer and you can work longer because your hands don't get cold. And whatever the G cost is, it's worth every penny. I have one G series. I have a 572G, and the new 564 is also going to come in a G, and I will be getting a 564G. And having the heated handlebars, huge. If you work in any kind of cold conditions, even if it gets down into the 30s, heated handlebars are awesome. And the heated handlebars they have now on these saws are almost too hot, to the point where you're running them eventually on a day that you don't really need them, you turn it off because your hands get hot. So you don't need it on even all the time. Just once in a while you can turn it on, warm up your hands, turn it back off. Works fantastic. So I'd recommend the G myself. So there you go. That's everything I know about this, which isn't much. I've only used it a couple times now, but I'm going to do some running tomorrow. I'm going to take this out. We're going to cut a tree down. I got one more ash tree in my parking lot to cut down. And I've also got some limbing to do to cut up, some stuff to haul away. And I want to run this saw. It's supposed to be tomorrow, I think, like in the teens. So not terribly cold and not raining, so that's good. And we're going to go outside and we're going to do some cutting. So the batteries are all charged up. The chain is sharpened up. All I got to do is put some oil in it and we'll be ready to go tomorrow. So I'll be back tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. You're going to be here because you got no place better to be than right here. Between now and then, go watch all the other videos on my channel. There's 2,000 waiting for you. You've got work to do. Good night, Irene.